All right, and a pleasant good evening to you and to yours, and welcome to where they fire the cannons at Commodore Stadium. And Fire the Cannons excites my co-host or partner tonight, I should say, your play-by-play man for tonight's broadcast. It is Anthony Knock Reiner and Knock. I guess we're kind of doing an impromptu pregame show here as we test the signal, as we test the views, the sights, the sounds, all of it here at O'Galley High School tonight. Knock, this is the game, and no disrespect to Titusville, but this is the game I think we all knew we were going to get in the regional semifinals between Merritt Island and O'Galley tonight. And so, based on the fact that O'Galley's won the last five, they absolutely took them out 40, what was it?
8 to 22, I think.
48 to 22
so.
In that district championship game. Was Merritt Island, why did they even come tonight?
Why should they? I mean, honestly, no. But I think Merritt Island, I was rewatching the game that you had a couple of weeks ago between these two teams, and you just see that in the first half how close that game was. I think the key is going to be, obviously, I don't think that Merritt Island's scheming into the game plan, throwing a pick six at the end of the second half.
No, sure didn't.
Into the first half, and then letting O'Galley double it up. But I'm curious because you had the game last week. I mean, Merritt Island only gave up 7 points. Do you think that version of that Mustang defense
they still gave up a lot of yards on the ground.
Did they?
Yeah,
okay.
They bent a whole lot last week, but they didn't break. And I think in the playoffs, all that matters is that you're not breaking, right? You're not giving up those points. But the Commodores are a different animal.
Yeah.
I mean, they're averaging nearly, 260 on the ground per night. Merritt Island's giving up almost 300 a night. That's inconceivable.
Exactly.
At any level. I'd be upset if I were coaching 8U and they were giving up 300 a night. So I don't know how Merritt Island adjusts that other than, they gave up 413 on the ground to O'Galley the last time. In the game before that, the Carrollwood Day, a team MCC is going to see tonight, they gave up 411, I think it was. So I don't know how the Mustangs fill those gaps. I don't know how they fix that. I know they've got some outstanding players in Jarvis Howe and Ethan Holt and guys at that linebacker position that can clog. And you watch this, and I think it's all about scheme for Merritt Island. They got those safeties that are too high. But the danger of bringing them down, Knock, is then Larice will beat you over the top because he's got guys like T.J. Monroe who can go get it.
I was about to say, you look at what he's done these last 3 games, Xavier Larice. He's 16 of 34, 237 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's getting better as a passer as the season has gone on, and that's what you've wanted to see as the season rolls, especially with an athlete like him. So, it's all the good things.
Look, he's not going to hit you with Joe Burrow-type accuracy, okay? But what he is going to do that Joe Burrow can't is if Monroe gets covered up, he's going to run for 60 yards.
Yeah.
So, Knock, if you're Merritt Island, what do you do to stop O'Galley tonight?
You play ball control offense. You throw the hitches. You throw the slants. You get those short passes to act like your run game along with being able to run the football. I think that's what you have to do tonight to keep O'Galley's offense off the field, allow your defense to breathe. And going back to your game, too, Merritt Island did get some stops against O'Galley. Now, again, O'Galley hurt themselves with some penalties throughout that contest. I think Merritt Island has to play the cleanest game of the year. If they can play the cleanest game of the year for them, I think they can win this game and have a chance at the end. But if they help O'Galley with penalties this evening, I think it could turn into an avalanche real fast.
No, I agree. To me, I think what they need to do, listen, it's like basketball, right? You got 2 guards are going to drop 30 on you, right? If both those guards drop 30 on you, you're done.
Yeah.
Take one of them out. You got to stop one. Look, if they decide tonight that Xavier Larice can't beat us, and if we lose this football game, it's because of Xavier Corbin, well, then so be it.
Yeah.
But they have got to shut one of those 2 down. Both of those guys had over 150 yards rushing and touchdowns in that district championship game. That can't happen tonight. If you look up at the stat sheet tomorrow morning and they both are sitting over 150 again, it's Gallie in the regional championship.
Yeah, and I was going to say the only thing then is then you have to try and get something that you haven't seen from this Gallie defense, which is give up 40-plus points.
That's exactly
this
right.
season, because that's the only way Merritt Island's going to stay in it is if Kevin Verpail is throwing for 6 touchdowns, 7 touchdowns this evening. And, again, this is a Gallie defense that does not surrender a ton of points. So you cannot rely on that here this evening.
No, and let's talk about Kevin Verpail because, to me, for my money, he was the best quarterback in Brevard County this year. I don't mean any disrespect to anybody else, but he was. A little under, I think, 2,400 yards passing this year, 26 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. I love his moxie. I think sometimes it works against him a little bit, but I love his moxie. I love the fact that there's nobody else in this county that can make throws on the run like he can. He can also beat you with his legs as well. He's got 316 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns this season. So he can beat you on the ground as well if he needs to. But he's got a stable of wide receivers in Dontarius Robertson. He's got Drew Sarver. He's got Deshaun Thomas. He's got Femi Howard. He's got a stable of wide receivers that can just flat out catch the football. And he's very fortunate because most schools don't have 2, much less 4.
Exactly. And also, too, I think one thing that I've kind of noticed over the last couple of weeks, Alex Hernandez has been running the football pretty well for them these last couple of games. He's got over 140 yards through these 3 games leading up to tonight, and he's looked a little bit of a different pace back for them. And so I'll be curious to see how they implement, because I think Merritt Island also has to be able to run the ball against Gallie tonight.
No, I agree with that. And Alon, and I want to make sure I get his name right because every game somebody comes to my window and tells me it's Alon, not Elaine. Alon Adams. He's a workhorse, but it's actually been number 22, Hernandez, I think it is, that has been carrying the workload for Merritt Island. All right, so that's this one. Let's talk about 1A Region 2. MCC with a tall task at Carrollwood Day over in Tampa against the Patriots, an undefeated 10-0 Carrollwood Day Patriots team. Listen, I think Carrollwood Day is obviously going to win this football game tonight, but if anybody can create chaos, it's MCC. They've created chaos all year.
Oh, yeah. They're very fluent in it, and at the same time, too, Noah Flores. I mean, again, you have one of the best athletes in all the county playing quarterback, similarly to Gallie. A lot of things can happen, but I think it'll depend on his legs and what they're able to do tonight to see if they can keep it close and give themselves a shot at the end of the ball game tonight. But like I said, it's a tall order for MCC tonight.
Yeah, I agree with you. Now, in 6A2, another tall order tonight. Viera, the Battle of the Hawks. Viera goes over to play, for lack of a better word, a PO'd Armwood, who last year was 12-0 in the regional semifinal or the regional finals against Osceola and got beat. And they felt like they were the better team last year. I don't necessarily know that Viera is just a team standing in their way. I don't buy that. I love the way Viera played last week in their playoff win over Riverview, the most points they've scored in a playoff game since the days of Kevin Mays. Tony Gulla has that program really climbing some stairs. Listen, Armwood is a beast. I believe they'll win this football game, but I think Viera can punch them back a little bit tonight.
Yeah, I think Viera has a chance to definitely give Armwood some headaches tonight. But again, it's really, really tough to see what Armwood does. You wish if you're Viera, you got a little bit more favorable matchup in this round of play.
Yeah, right. Amen, brother.
Week. But Viera, again, you got to see what Eric Nelson does. Again, if you can get the running game going for Viera against Armwood, which will be a tall order for them, I think then they have a real good chance. But it's going to be a tough night for some of our Brevard County teams.
No doubt. And then finally, I saved this one for last. 2A2, Cocoa is a 3 seed, travels to 2 seed Calvary Christian tonight, and I like the Tigers in this one, but it's not going to be easy. Calvary Christian's got an offensive line that, if they played in Brevard County, would be the best offensive line in Brevard County. They run the football really well. They can limit Cocoa possessions. But I also like the way Champ Smith, Javion Scott, last week he threw 4 touchdowns to 4 different Cocoa Tigers last week. 2 different Tigers scored rushing touchdowns. I like the way this team is playing right now, Knock. I know Newberry gave them some breaks last week.
Yeah, well, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, the only thing is, though, is that there was a stretch in the middle of that game where all of a sudden we saw the Cocoa from earlier in the season. Mm-hmm. We're seeing the passes go deep. They want to heave it down the field. It gave Newberry an opportunity to come back into that game last week.
It should have been 14-14 at halftime.
It really should have. And then at the same time, too, if not then, it should have been at the very least 21-20, late in the third quarter.
Yeah.
Because of some of the mistakes that Cocoa was giving up. But, I don't think Newberry is going to – I don't think Calvary Christian is going to spot Cocoa 6 or 7 illegal man downfield penalties.
No, I don't think
200 yards, I think, was what Newberry might have had.
That's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen tonight. So
no.
it's going to be tough for Cocoa.
The game tonight for Cocoa is going to be on their front 7 on the dark side defense because Calvary can run the football, and they run it well. They run it great. So Cocoa's going to have to be on their P's and Q's defensively and play a really disciplined football game. And Champ Smith, if he's got more than 1 turnover, the Thanksgiving Day streak is snapped. Listen, Calvary gives up a lot of points. They give up 26 a game this year, and over the last 3 weeks they've given up 26, 20, or 24, 24, and I think 36. Over the last and 350 yards a game. So Cocoa's going to have their opportunities on offense. They just can't squander them.
Well, no, and I think can they keep Champ Smith on schedule? Because the intermediate throws, the short throws, especially the stuff that came in Viera last week was extremely effective. Hit the post routes when they're there, but don't throw the ball deep. Just don't do it like that. And I don't know if that's going to be something that they can do, just consistently. Because, again, if you can keep Champ Smith on schedule, be steady Eddie in the offensive play calling, and not try and take those shots. Because, honestly, last week, Champ Smith got bailed out. He threw the deep ball. It was picked off, but because they had a roughing the passer penalty, it nullified the interception. So, for Cocoa, they just have to stay within Champ Smith's realm. And that's short to intermediate.
Well, Champ Smith needs to stay in Champ Smith's realm.
True.
And listen, I don't think that Ryan Schneider and Adam Franco send him out there and say, "Hey, Champ, hit the X button."
Lightly.
Right.
It just happened.
Right. I'm pretty sure when he comes back to the sidelines after doing that, it's punishment from the PS5. I can promise you that. But tonight, Knock and I have what we hope is not the final broadcast of the high school football regular season here in Brevard County. Bishop Moore tonight. The winner of this will play the winner of the Bishop Moore game. I had it written down. I can't find it. Why can I not remember who Bishop Moore is playing tonight?
Thought I had it written down somewhere.
Yeah, me too.
It's the problem with too much prep. You think you write things down.
Well, yeah, and you think you know everything, and then you find out you know nothing. Hold on. So Bishop Moore tonight is playing, and even without my glasses, I should be able to read this. Eastside. And Coach Sands tells me that it's no given Bishop Moore wins that football game tonight. Listen, I'm just telling you what Coach Sands told me. It's no given that it's going to be – what's up, buddy? It's going to be very, very – ow, God. It's going to be very –
just Alan getting assaulted
very
over here.
tough. Welcome to Daryl Durand. I got the love tap on the head. It's going to be very, very difficult for me to believe. And listen, I know Coach Sands wants to hold that game next week. Bishop Moore's a pretty good football team. They are year in and year out, and so yeah.
I mean, it'll be interesting, but obviously O'Galley can't be thinking about that one. They got to make sure, because here's one thing I am kind of concerned about with O'Galley tonight. I've called a couple of games tonight, or called a couple games this season for the Commodores. I love Xavier Larice. He does a lot of things well, but the Commodores like to put the ball on the ground sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if tonight's the night that they might lose a few of those, because they've done it all year long and they lived pretty close to danger on that.
That's a man right there that saved my entire household this week with a dryer vent. He did, man. You can't believe what a dryer vent can do for your house, man. Mine was all crushed up. Things were flying everywhere all over the house. But, all right, we'll be back. I don't even know